Hi Year 5, it's Miss Tullett here. Welcome to our first geography lesson for this half term, looking at the geography of the Maya, as that is our topic. So if you quickly just pause the video and can you write the date, title and Wilf into your books. And welcome back. So we are just going to begin with a bit of total recall. So if you just pause the video and have a go at these questions. So what are the invisible lines that run around the world east to west called? What do we call areas of our planet that have similar climates? And how many time zones are there? So hopefully you had lines of latitude for the first one. So they run flat round the earth. Areas that have similar climates, we call them biomes. And of course there are 24 time zones, just like there are 24 hours in the day. So well done if you remembered all of those. Today is going to need a lot of absorption. It's going to be new information. If you listen to the information well, then it will be easy to write about. And then just some making links, especially with location. So another little bit of recall. First of all, I want you to think, can you remember which continent on the map is North America? So have a think, which number do you think it is? So it is number 6. So well done if you said number 6. Can you quickly name the other continents? Can you remember which ones they are? So number 1 is obviously Europe. Number 2, Asia. Number 3, Australasia or Oceania. Number 4, Antarctica. Number 5, Africa. And number 6 was North America. And number 7, South America. Brilliant. So, what I would like you to do first in your book is pause the video. Looking at this picture, I just want you to write a sentence of what you think, a sentence of what you see, and a sentence of what you wonder. Just pause the video and write those 3 sentences in your book. Brilliant. If you send photos through of your work, I'll have a look at the 3 things that you wrote down just to see what your thoughts were looking at that picture. Okay, so we are focusing on North America for this topic. But we are going to be focusing on a small region of North America linked to where the Maya were located. But first, we're going to become familiar of some of the countries that make up the whole of North America. So, pause the video again, maybe challenge someone at home. Can you unscramble these North American countries? Give yourself a minute, have a go. And welcome back. So you should have got Mexico, Cuba, Guatemala, Canada, Honduras, Costa Rica, Belize, the USA, El Salvador, Panama and Nicaragua. So well done if you managed to unscramble those. Now, the parts of North America that we are going to be really focusing on in this topic is in the southern part of North America. So obviously you've got the USA in these 2 parts over here, Canada, Mexico, and then it goes down into all these smaller countries. All of this is North America, but we're going to be focusing on the part known as Central America. So Central America is part of North America, but because it's the most central part between all the Americas, so including South America, it's known as Central America. And it was it included these countries here, so Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, Belize, El Salvador, Nicaragua, Costa Rica. But in the time of the Maya, this area of America was known as Mesoamerica, and it meant the Middle America. Now we just say Central America instead. And within the Mesoamerica, the Maya were a prominent civilization in the northern part. So if we zoom in a bit more, where this red outline is on this map, this was the significant area that the Maya had all of their cities. And this region included, so this yellow bit here is the bottom part of Mexico. So if I just go back to this map here, it's just from, I'd say, this part here, all of this bit going along here. So the bottom part of Mexico. And this yellow bit sticking out into the sea here was known as the Yucatan Peninsula. So still in Mexico, but it's called the Yucatan Peninsula. And peninsula, as I've written down here, is a piece of land surrounded by water on 3 sides. So a bit like the Rame Head, it's the Rame Peninsula because it sticks out into the sea, and 3 sides of it is surrounded by water. So same here, the Yucatan Peninsula. We have then the southeastern part of Mexico over here. We've got western areas of El Salvador and Honduras, and then the whole of Belize and Guatemala are in that location of where the Maya used to live. And that whole area is actually the size of Germany and Denmark put together, so actually it's pretty big. Okay. And here is another map just showing you some of the locations of their cities, which we're going to look at a bit more in a moment. So this vast territory can also be split into 3 regions. So we have the northern lowlands, which covers the Yucatan Peninsula, the southern lowlands, which includes Belize here, Guatemala, and parts of Chiapas, or Chiapas, I'm not sure how to say that. And then over here we have the southern highlands. So next week we're going to be looking at the physical geography, and this is where some of the Guatemalan mountains are located. So they're higher up. If we move on. Okay, so now we're just going to talk about the cities of the Maya, and I've just included a few pictures here, which might be handy for your work in a minute. These are 3 different Mayan cities, and just have a look at how they're very similar, but at the same time they're very different. But we're going to learn more now about those cities and how they were built. So, the Maya civilization lived in hundreds of magnificent cities that they built using tools made of stone, wood and shell. These cities were like separate countries and ruled over their surrounding areas. Each city had their own king, language, laws and traditions, but despite these differences, every city was built in the same way. They each had a huge plaza positioned in the centre, which was surrounded by temples, pyramids, a ball court and a palace for the city ruler. The plaza acted as both a marketplace and meeting place for ceremonies and festivals. The Maya were great builders, and some of their buildings were 200 feet tall. So back then they wouldn't have had nice cranes and things to make their building easy. If you think back to our science last term and our levers and pulleys, that would definitely have been things that they used to build their temples and pyramids. Okay, and this is just an old kind of map of one of the key Mayan cities known as Chichen Itza, which we'll look at again in a minute, and it just shows those things that we've just talked about. So here is the plaza, which was kind of their main courtyard area, and here they had an inside market as well. Pyramid of Kukulkar, so this is now known as El Castillo. And if you do some research for gold and choose Chichen Itza to look at, that will be one of the key buildings that comes up. So it's El Castillo, which means the castle in English. So that was there. And actually, if we go back to the photos, this is a side view of El Castillo. Over here then they've got their ball court and their temple of jaguars. And then they would also have a place for the ruler to live, so the palace area. Okay, so let's move on. So the cities shared the same culture, but they remained separate from each other. There was never a single Mayan empire, but rather a widespread interconnected civilization. So that means they weren't if you look at this map, you can see how it's mapped out all the different cities within that Mesoamerica area. But they were never one big empire, okay, like you had the Roman Empire or the Vikings, okay. They were the Maya, but they all had their own little civilizations within it. So sometimes the city-states would go to war with each other for different reasons, such as territory, resources and influence. Okay, so even though they were one overall civilization, they actually, as separate cities and states, they would go to war with each other. And I've just put in this box down here some of the key cities that we will be looking at over the weeks in both reading skills and geography and history. Obviously you can see a lot more labelled up here, but Chichen Itza, so this was located, and the ruins are still there up in that Yucatan Peninsula part. We've got Tikal here in the northern part of Guatemala, Palenque over in the other part of Mexico, Copan down at the northern part of Honduras, or the eastern northeastern part, Uxmal, where's that gone? Up here again in the Yucatan Peninsula, and Calakmul in the Yucatan Peninsula as well. So quite a lot of those cities, civilizations were found in Mexico, but also reaching through Guatemala, Belize and Honduras. Okay. Here's another map, just kind of pointing them out again, just a slightly different looking map, more like a Google Maps map. And it says at the top, some of these ancient Maya cities were almost 1,000 kilometers apart, and yet they shared the same culture and way of life. Okay, and over the next few in a few geography lessons time, we're going to be looking at how they traded with each other and how they farmed and things like that. So definitely going to learn a lot more about them. So we're on to the task for today. So bronze is just to explain in a nice paragraph the location of the Maya and include a diagram. So you need to talk about the fact that they're in North America. They're in what is now known as Central America, but what they called Mesoamerica. And you need to include the countries that their area covers that they lived in. Okay, and then try and draw a little map. I've got a waggle for you in a moment. Everybody needs to start on bronze. Okay, silver, once you finish bronze, is to explain the cities of the Maya and include a diagram. Okay, so just talk about how their cities were different, how their cities were the same, what are some of the key cities and the locations of them. And then for gold, if you wish to do a bit more, you need to research one of the Mayan cities and write a small paragraph with information about that city. So let's have a look at some waggles and research information. So here is my bronze waggle. Please excuse my blue felt tip pen, I left my colouring pencils at home, but that was just to represent the sea. So I've just talked about the Maya civilization was located in the southern part of North America. Today this is known as Central America, but was then known as Mesoamerica, meaning Middle America. They were a civilization that spread over an enormous region of northern Mesoamerica. This included parts of Honduras, El Salvador, Mexico, including the Yucatan Peninsula, and the whole of Guatemala and Belize. Okay, and then I've just tried to copy out the map from a few slides ago and labelled those countries where the Maya were located. So that's the bronze task, which everybody needs to do. If you then want to move on to silver, you need to talk about the cities. So my diagram that I've included is I've tried to recreate El Castillo. So I've drawn one of the pyramids. So you might want to draw a temple, you might want to draw a ball court, you might want to draw the whole map of their city if you want to, like we looked at the Chichen Itza one. Up to you. But for the paragraph, I've just described what the cities were like. So the Maya built and lived in magnificent cities. These cities were like separate countries and ruled their surrounding areas. Each city had its own ruler, language and law. However, the cities were also similar because they were built in the same way. A huge plaza would be in the centre, surrounded by temples, pyramids and ball courts. There would even be a palace for the ruler to live. Some of the well-known Mayan cities are Chichen Itza, Palenque, Tikal and Copan. So make sure you include a list of some of the key city names, okay, and just explain how those cities were similar and different. If you then wish to move on to gold and research a bit more into one of those cities, you just need to use Google. If you write in, for example, Chichen Itza or Palenque or Tikal, okay, it will come up with loads of information about those places, because those places are now ruins and places that people go to visit. In your paragraph, what I would like you to definitely try and include is the location of that city that you've chosen, the population of the Maya at the time, and their key buildings and their names. So for example, how we talked about at Chichen Itza, the big temple is known as El Castillo. Okay, if there's any other information that you find and want to include, that's brilliant. So that's your bronze, silver, gold. Just remember to start on bronze and go as far as you can. Keep pushing yourselves even though you're at home, okay, and then remember to snap a photo, send it through to your teacher on Teams. Doesn't take long, because we love seeing what you're getting up to at home, and you're all doing amazing. So well done. Remember, you can rewind the video to look at some of the pictures or the information again and pause it just to help you write your paragraphs. Hope you have a lovely day, Year 5, and speak to you soon. Bye.